Contractors all over the world are wanting more time, more freedom, more impact. The way we do this is through implementing systems, processes, standards. Welcome to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. Here we hit business strategy, coaching, mindset, motivation, the tools you need for success. So strap in, listen up, and get ready to grow on the Contractor Secrets Podcast. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me today on the Contractor Secrets Podcast. First, I'm driving. Sometimes these are the best episodes because I'm not confined. I've never been one to be confined. So kind of really just, this is kind of like an all-over episode, but I'm going to narrow down a few major topics of helping you get to your best in your business and hopefully in your life. And what I've learned in business is that everything trickles down from my own personal development. And you've heard the term, you know what it is, but if you haven't made personal development a focus, business is really hard, because most of us doing under $1 million a year are the business, right? The inputs that we put into business are a result of our direct energy and efforts. So what does that really mean? Well, if our energy is low as individuals and our business is dependent on our efforts, then we can only put into the business the excess of what we have. That's the key right there. It's the excess of what we have. It's not what we have. It's what's left over after we give ourselves to, number one, ourself, give it to our family, our friends, and then whatever's left is what goes to our business, right? In some cases, it's flipped, but most cases, we value our loved ones more than we do our business. So whatever's left goes into our business. And that effort is the energy that goes into finding quality help, taking the time to go through hiring processes, learning marketing, learning how to acquire a good marketing company and holding them accountable, learning a software. I can't tell you how many people sign up for Dripjobs and don't take the time to learn it. They don't invest the time to just learn how to optimize it in a way that could really benefit them. And it's just because of time and energy and effort. And also, of course, those of you that are still working in the actual business by painting or installing or putting together whatever that trade is that you're doing, is the ultimate depletion of energy. So at the end of the day, you have to understand that you have to fill your cup every day. It needs to be something that you fill up. It's almost like going to the gas station. That tank needs to be full at the beginning of the week. And ultimately, you want to top it off every single day. And the reason why is because those little extra efforts that you're able to do at an optimum energy is what's going to tip the bucket for you in your business. And what I love about it, in the same way that a car's battery is charged by, forgive me if this is wrong, but from what I understand, the alternator, and the fact that the energy is on, and when the car accelerates, it recharges the battery. Ultimately, it's the same thing when you're progressing in your business, right? So ultimately, it all starts from the top. Your confidence in yourself, right? Your personal development. And to me, personal development is the pursuit of a better set of values and standards. Okay, so in other words, we have a baseline that we're given, and that's formed by our friends, our peers, how we grew up, our parents, and we look at it and we say, okay, well, I don't like that I think this way, and I don't like that I do these things. So what we do is we seek others that have done things that we want to do or operate in a way that we want to operate, and we adopt the way they think. And that's personal development in its core. We read books, we listen to things, even you listening to this podcast, maybe you find some things that I say of value, and you want to adopt some of the things that I value. And my values have come from my value system, which is formed by so many different resources. And it constantly is being formed, right? And I get to share what I've learned and the way I think with you. So as a business owner, you have to understand that, again, whatever the inputs in to you are what the outputs are going to be. So if you're reading good stuff, and you're absorbing it in a way that makes you want to take action if you're starting a new habit or a new routine, maybe you're waking up early, maybe you're going to the gym, none of this is going to give you immediate gratification. And this is good practice, because in business, nothing gives you immediate gratification. There's nothing in business that will ever give you an immediate gratification result. Now, yes, of course, if you are 2 years into your business and you're doing estimates and you sell a job, you are going to probably feel instant gratification of collecting that check, but that took a long time to be able to do. You had to build a team, you had to learn how to estimate, you had to find a marketing company, or you had to do your own marketing, or you had to earn that opportunity, right? So personal development is a consistent pursuit in the same way that growing your business is. Ultimately, I tell myself I run 3 businesses. Actually, I tell myself I run 4, which is obviously premium painting, Dripjobs, the business of myself, and the business of running my family. And I think you have to be optimized if you're going to handle those endeavors. Now, some of you might only think you run one business, but if you have a family, you run 2. Right? You have to manage the family. You have to manage the mood of the family. Some of us as business owners are the leaders in our household that keep everything together. We're the leaders in the household that inspire everyone else when things are getting tough. Where are my fathers that have young children? Okay, and the craziness that happens, and learning how to balance your emotions and not getting too angry and not, overstepping boundaries, and even when you're tired from a long day at work, helping out, your significant other. There's so many different things that are required of us as leaders. So when I say that it's a matter of personal development and it's a matter of inputs and outputs, you have to understand that this isn't optional. There's so many things in business that are not optional for the goal of success. And if you're listening to this, I know that you want to achieve optimum results. You want a freedom machine. You want to build your legacy, because it's really hard to listen to this stuff over and over and over again if that's not a pursuit, because it would probably offend you, or your insecurities or your ego. So you're here, so let's talk and be honest. And an honest portion of this is you are only as good, and your business is only as good as you. The skill sets that you learn along the way are good, but how you manage your temperament, how you handle conflict, how you perceive yourself, the confidence level that you have, your ability to have faith, your ability to believe, your ability to take risks. All of these intangible things are what make a successful leader. Now, we know that leaders do one thing very well, and this is they get results. Leaders are resourceful. You can look at any leader and you will find that they've done one thing really well. They've gotten results. You look at any business leader, you look at anyone that's accomplished anything, they're known for the results that they've gotten. And anyone that you find valuable in terms of someone that you look up to in business is someone that has gotten some sort of results. Now, those results are usually favorable. And the reason they were able to get results is because they found a way to maximize resources. Now, those resources aren't just themselves. Those resources can be really anyone that they have engaged with, or had worked for them, or had utilized, or had put together, supply and demand in a certain way, or created a unique product. And what you find is that these people are just like us. They're just individuals that have found a really strategic way to be resourceful. Now, in any endeavor, when it comes to business, there's 2 major traits that you must zero in on. So yes, of course, the overarching, I would say, notion here is personal development. Yes, we know that we need personal development. That's a given. But I will say that there's 2 very important traits that fall under the umbrella of personal development that you must have and focus on and refine over and over and over again. The first is confidence. You have got to believe in yourself. Fortunately, my father had always injected confidence in me. Always. It was always one of those things where there was never a question about it. He always believed in me, even when I was playing baseball as a kid, or I was playing football, or even in any time I would call him, when I was away from college and I told him I was quitting my job and all the crazy things that I did. There was always a certain level of confidence that he instilled in me, and that was one of the greatest gifts my father had ever given me. So for me, that was my baseline. My baseline was confidence. I always had confidence, which gave me a competitive edge in sports and in business. And really, confidence just comes down to a belief in yourself. Well, let me make it clear. If you are lacking in the belief in yourself, it's okay to borrow the belief that others have in you. And I think it's important for you to focus on that and make it clear that the belief that others have in you is temporary, but ultimately you really have to embody that belief. You have to believe in yourself. Now, what's a way to build confidence? Well, one of the easiest ways to build confidence, and one of the most common ways to build confidence, is to take risks. But here's the deal. What happens is if someone who lacks confidence takes a risk, and that risk doesn't pan out, doesn't give them the favorable result, that confidence baseline that they have drops. And ultimately, that is akin to going underwater. So let's say that somebody who has baseline confidence is treading water, and they set out to do some sort of endeavor where they get out of their comfort zone and they take a risk in business, or maybe they even take a risk at going to the gym or doing something out of the normal to build confidence, right? That's the goal ultimately. Now, to get to the point where they take the risk was very hard. This wasn't easy, because if it was easy, they would have done this already. And maybe they're doing it now, and this is a very fragile time period. Let me give you a business example. Someone that is working inside their business and wants to hire someone. We know that hiring people is risky. The risks of making a bad decision, or the fear of making a bad decision, is a risk. Actually making a bad decision is the risk. Someone ruining your reputation that you've worked so hard to garnish is a risk, especially someone that works off of word of mouth, who any dent in that reputation could mean the business fails, because there's no strategy to garnish business outside of reputation and word of mouth. Like, there's a lot of things here. So if that person takes a risk and that risk doesn't pan out, it's an automatic failure in the eyes of the individual taking the risk, and their confidence level drops below water, and taking another risk is near impossible. And this is really hard, because what I've learned is that, taking a risk in any result is a victory. It is, because ultimately what you do is you learn. And if you go into the risk with the mindset of what's worst case scenario, it makes learning part of the process instead of what you get at the end of the result, right? So in other words, like when I set off to do a new endeavor, sort of like Dripjobs, this was a big decision for me and my family. I mean, we're talking a very big investment to get going. And I really didn't know if people were going to buy it, just so you know. I mean, of course, I had the confidence that they would. I knew that I would figure it out, but there's always doubt. Okay, I'm human. So this was risky. So my baseline confidence, though, was really high, because I've taken risks in other areas, but this was something that still was out of the normal for me. This was kind of scary. But what happened is, when I took the risk, I looked at it like this. At the end of the day, if no one buys, I have a really expensive software that I will use for my own business. And that was it. I looked at the worst case scenario. I spent way too much money on a proprietary software that no one's going to buy, but I'll use it. So I guess there's some victory there. And I think I've trained myself over and over and over again to find some light around any situation. And I've done that naturally because of the way I grew up. I had some really traumatic events happen in my family. And as a kid, you kind of find ways to cope. And for me, the way I found to cope was to find some silver lining in any situation, because that's a really, strategic way to go through trauma. So in business, this has helped me tremendously, because every situation that I run into in business, I find silver lining. And I think that the risks that I've taken in business are what allow me to grow. And I do a lot of coaching sessions, this, and I hear individuals tell me, well, I don't know if I can hire, or I don't know if I can hire a marketer, or I don't know if I can spend money like that because I don't know if it'll come back. So one thing I know about inputs in terms of investing in your business or taking a risk is that you will get an output. It's just a matter of how you perceive the output. That's what we're talking about here is, the output is you will learn in any risk. But if you perceive it as failure, you are going to continue to go underwater. If you perceive the result, which is not favorable, as a failure, it'll be very hard for you to take another risk because you're just going to automatically assume that failure is the result. But the perception is what matters. You can perceive any endeavor as a victory, or you can perceive any endeavor as a failure. And in business, if you train your mind to perceive every risk as a victory, whether it's a learning experience or whether it's a quote-unquote victory, then you will find that making tough decisions in business are easy each and every time. Now, I say this for a couple reasons because, and here's a good example, being burned by a marketing company. Many of you listening to this, you do not know how to run Facebook ads. You do not know how to run Google ads. You do not know how SEO works, and you would be hard-pressed to learn it. There's companies that study this. There's companies that optimize this. There's companies that make this their mission in the same way that you have a skill set. Maybe some of you listening to this have been painting or installing or whatever it is you do for 20 years. Okay? When you have a homeowner tell you that they want to do the job that you have learned and trained and refined for 20 years, there's a certain feeling of good luck, buddy, that you give to that customer because you just know that there's no way they're going to achieve the result that they think they're going to get. Okay? And that's the way marketers look at you because they understand that you need them to get the results that you want or to optimize the result. Now, the homeowner can paint, but it won't be to the standard that you paint. You can run ads, but it won't be optimized, right? So the reality is that this is an area that as business owners that want to take it to the next level, you need someone helping you with this, or you need a service that does this for you if you want to speed things up, okay? So the problem is that if you hire a marketer, and this is risky for you, right? Let's say you hire a marketer and they say, okay, well, we're going to put you in a 3-month contract. It's going to be $9,000 to have us market for you, okay? Now, that might be more money than you've ever spent on anything. Like, there could have been a vacation that you maybe had wanted to go on that cost $5,000, but you justified to yourself that it's better to save that money and not go on the vacation. So when the guy comes to you and says, okay, well, it's going to be about $9,000 for the 4-month term, you think to yourself, well, I just gave up a vacation, and you're telling me it's $9,000 to run my ads, and that doesn't even include my ad spend. So in other words, if my ad spend is $2,000, we're looking at $17,000 in the next 4 months that I'm going to be spending on marketing. Okay, so it's like $3,000 a month, and it's like $2,000 a month on ad spend. Now, to someone that's never spent that money, making a decision like that is very hard because could there be the potential that you won't get any leads? Sure, right? But what you're doing is you're putting the pressure on the marketing company to do that for you. Because ultimately, we know that we need leads to grow. And in order to do that and speed up the learning curve, we need someone else to do it for us. Again, you can do it yourself, but it won't be optimized. There's no instant gratification here. You have to give something in order to get something. Now, let's say you get burned. Like, they do a terrible job of doing your ads. They don't communicate well. You got oversold and underdelivered. The chances of you hiring someone to do this service again are slim to none. But remember I said earlier, you need this to be done for you, but you've already been burned. And maybe you're looking at the situation like, that was a failure, I'll never do that again. But instead, here's where personal development comes in. I'm going to wrap this up, okay? One of the core essences, the second thing in personal development, remember I said the first one was confidence. The second one is accountability. Accountability, taking responsibility for everything that happens in your life. A little overweight, you ate too much, you don't work out. Okay, that's it. It's the accountability, right? No money, poor financial habits, overspending. No leads, didn't dig the well before you were thirsty. No team, didn't hire when you needed to hire. No trust, no risks being taken, okay? Accountability. So if you're on the pursuit of personal development and you want to really work on this, again, we said the confidence was the first thing. Confidence to make tough decisions over and over on a repeated basis. It's going to build more confidence. Kind of like how when you drive a car, it recharges the battery. The second thing is accountability. We have a marketing company that burned us. What accountability means is that you're open to doing a self-assessment, a self-reflection on your decision-making when it came to hiring that marketing company. Your lack of knowledge is one of the reasons why it didn't work out. Or maybe during that 4-month stretch, you didn't participate to the way that the marketing company had asked you to participate. You didn't send in the videos. You didn't send in the pictures. You just expected it to just work when they clearly outlined a roadmap for you to take. And you didn't do it to the standard. Or maybe you were getting leads and you didn't convert those leads better. Maybe your sales process sucks. So instead of blaming the marketing company, because that's the easy thing to do, there's no accountability, there's no self-assessment to say either I made a poor decision and a poor hire, or I didn't follow through on the commitments, or I need to work on another area that has nothing to do with the leads. Because chances are it's one of those three things. And that's what I've seen. And your inability to accept accountability is actually prohibiting you from growing, because instead of looking and taking a self-assessment on what's going on, you just say, I'm not doing that again. I'm not hiring another marketing company. And because of that, you're just going to stay where you are. And ultimately, that's never the case. It's usually a digression, and you're going to just kind of fade out, and you've created a 9 to 8 p.m. job for yourself that makes you want to quit because you're exhausted every day. Working alone or with a part-timer that comes in when he wants. This is not business. This is not freedom. You have to take risks. You have to be willing to lose money. You have to chalk it up as a loss. So the next time you make the decision, now you know what to look for. Now you know the expectations. And now you know the areas that need to be refined. Okay? So I'm going to recap this because it's so important for you to understand the topic that I discussed with you today, because it's one of those topics that it's hard to get out. I feel like I got it out. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but hopefully you grab some things that you can look at and say, okay, what is this personal development thing? This personal development thing is what kicks off everything in your life, whether it's your family, your business, your spiritual endeavors, everything. It starts with personal development. The personal development we've identified is the pursuit of better values and better decision making, better beliefs than what you currently have now. Through that, underneath personal development are two main attributes. We have confidence, which is your ability to make decisions and bet on yourself and take risks. And then once those decisions are made, if they're not favorable, having accountability, being able to do a self-assessment. Everything that happens in your business is your fault. Either it's a lack of knowledge, lack of effort, or a skill that needs to be refined. So I gave you the example of a marketing company that you hired, they didn't pan out, and you've created a new belief that says every marketing company's bad, I'll just do it on my own. And we know that you can't do that. I mean, you could, but it won't be optimized. Remember, it's kind of like the homeowner who wants to do the job themselves because they don't trust any painting companies. It's not going to look good, but you can do it. And we need optimization because our time is our most valuable asset. Most of us are the business. And then ultimately looking at decisions in a way that says, is this going to be a favorable result? Or is it a result that wasn't favorable? Am I going to identify that as a failure, or am I going to identify as a learning experience and do it again? Because if I do it again the second time, chances are I'm going to get a better result than I did the first time. And that's progress. That's improvement. So that's what I got for you today. I hope this was beneficial. I really do. I hope you take some of this, apply it to your life, apply it to your business, and give me some feedback. If you haven't done so already, here's my ad. And if you guys are getting something out of this podcast, the only thing that I can ask of you is to sign up for Dripjobs. If you're on the fence, do a demo so we can show you the value. Maybe you are on the fence because signing up for a software is a commitment and it might seem risky. Maybe you went to dripjobs.com and you saw some of the features and thought, man, I don't need all this yet. Well, I get that a lot, and I tell people this. The best time to get a software in your business is when you don't need a software. You don't. I mean, that's especially a good one like Dripjobs. So do a demo with us. I'd love to have you. I'd love to see you come through our pipeline, and I'd love for you to see the sales process I built. I'd love for you to see that. You should look at that and reverse engineer it. We have a pretty good sales process. We come in, we bring you through a demo. We have someone on our sales team that's going to be doing a demo with you, and then from there you're going to get an outreach to do our free training. I want you to see the culture that's been built and what we're doing, and I'd love for your feedback on it, because I'm just like you, and I just took more risks, or I made different decisions that were definitely risky, and I hope that inspires you to keep taking risks. So anyway, thanks for listening to this. We'll catch you on the next episode. See you.